Welcome to Orbital Shipyard for this best of 5 in the winners bracket quarterfinals. Spawning in the northern position, representing Millennium, playing as the blue Protoss player. Hailing from France, it's Lilbow. His compatriot and teammate spawns as the red Terran player in the bottom position. So from France, also representing Millennium, we're basically guaranteeing a French Millennium player in the semi-finals here. It's our Terran, MarineLorD. Not an awful lot to choose between these folks, to be perfectly honest. And I think it really comes down to who you're supporting from Terran and Protoss, to be perfectly frank. So we'll see. At the moment, not too much going on, of course, just starting out. This TVP matchup has been really interesting of late. We've had a little bit more Colossus usage from Protosses. We see builds varying up again. We see players not being too afraid to mix up some funky stuff as well as they get more confident with their play around Legacy of the Void. So all sorts of cool meta things slowly happening right now. And we can see that actually over the course of days rather than weeks or months. So it's nice to be able to effectively see this live. Now we have Lilbow here going for his natural expansion just off the back of the gateway opening. All very standard, and instant Reaper coming out from MarineLorD pre any sort of add-on on that barracks. It's just going to be a pretty standard Reaper expand for now. So we'll see where he wants to go with his gas distribution and how MarineLorD wants to be teching up moving on forward. An SCV scout ahead of the Reaper is going to spot everything that's going on, and we'll see that there's nothing out of the ordinary because the Nexus is down, and as a result there's not an awful lot that, for example, can be proxied. Now this Reaper's actually being defensive right now for MarineLorD. He's just getting the reactor on his barracks right now, and this Reaper is only going to be hunting for proxy pylons and any sort of sneaky buildings that might be out on the map. And he's doing this, of course, in case Lilbow catches him off guard with something, but also because he's also just making the one Reaper. It's not like he's going to be killing 10 workers with a Reaper or anything like that, so he'll be able to pop in and get a little bit of scouting done. But really, that's all the Reaper's for. He needs to keep it alive at all costs and make sure it gives him information. This is really why this Reaper is alive at this point of the game. So the factory halfway complete as the Robo starts on the side of our Protoss player as well. And all very well and good. Very strange, of course, for those of you who might be joining us from Heart of the Swarm. Welcome, I suppose. This is the 3-minute mark, and this basically looks like an 8-minute game so far. Of course, very, very quick in terms of gameplay compared to before. And the recent sort of meta changes and patches have also affected the game in wonderful ways. An Adept is going to be able to take out that scouting SCV. This Reaper, though, will be able to see both of the Twilight Council and the robotics facilities. That's useful scouting information. And now MarineLorD's job is to get out. It's to get out! Is he going to be able to hop down the cliff in time? He is! So that is exactly what the Reaper was there for. And if he manages to live to scout another day as well, that's just going to be excellent for him. So MarineLorD has spotted everything that his opponent's doing right now. Just massing Marines inside the base. Note that there's no tech lab on a second barracks anywhere at the moment, which means that there's no chance for any sort of stim to come down. There's no chance for combat shields or anything like that. We're just going for a 1-1-1 style aggression here by the looks of things. We have Widow Mines and a medevac coming out across the map as well. So completely unupgraded Marines popping out there. And we have an engineering bay helping block off the natural expansion. Now this, you might be thinking, why is he blocking this off? And it's because of the Adepts. They can obviously shade into the natural and be incredibly annoying indeed. So MarineLorD just going to go ahead and do that for now, which is completely fine. This engineering bay will possibly start +1, but nowhere close to in time, of course, to prevent this attack from going down. Where is the medevac with the Widow Mines? Here it is. So just a bunch of unupgraded Marines, and medevac and 2 Widow Mines. Of course, lots and lots of DPS, but maybe not so much potential to, well, catch your opponent off guard if you're stood straight under an observer. And unfortunately, these Marines, or at least half of them, are going to be forfeit here. They can turn around if they want, but these Stalkers can kite them all day long. He's trying to get to the high ground. Oh, no, he's not trying to get to the high ground. I thought he was for a second there. He is going to turn around and fight, and he will do some hull damage on one of them, but that's not going to be the greatest amount. The medevac gets taken out as well. The pylon overcharge means that, well, 1 worker kill total this game. If we take a look at what has been lost here, MarineLorD has lost so much compared to Lilbow. So Lilbow's defense has just been absolutely stellar so far. No questions asked. Double Forge going down next to the 3rd. I actually question the positioning of the Forges just a little bit. Maybe he's expecting a lot of drops into the main and natural, but technically any attack that comes up here, you pick off the upgrades really easily compared to, say, if the Forges were here. So I wonder if that's just a case of, oh, I needed Forges and I've just built my 3rd, I'll just plonk them down here. Or if it'll come back to bite him in any way. Robo popping down there for him as well. And note, that is a 2nd Robo because the first one is over here. So we could be going Disruptors and Colossus. Ooh, wouldn't that be fun? From Lilbow's point of view. And in the meantime, his only units off the other side of the map are these Observers. And these Observers will be able to see at least the freedom zones that these Liberators have decided to plonk. Purely as a defensive maneuver, of course. 3rd base is now becoming an orbital command for MarineLorD, and all is quiet at this stage of the game. So the early skirmishes have been complete. Both players are going for their respective later game compositions right now. We see Stim finally on the way. No doubt that tech lab is for Combat Shield, although we haven't actually seen it started yet from MarineLorD. He has enough resources to do it. I wonder if he's omitted it. We'll find out in just a second. Resonating Glaives coming down from Lilbow as well, out of that Twilight Council. So upping his ability not only to do damage in a face-to-face engagement, of course, but also helping him do a bit more damage later game. And we have got, oh, it looks like this tech lab coming down for Combat Shield. He could have done that there a little bit earlier, but it's not the end of the world or anything like that. 3rd base now coming down for MarineLorD. We have the 4th coming down for our Protoss. Lilbow getting pretty bold. And that's, to be honest, completely justified, because he hasn't really seen any attacks coming in from MarineLorD. If we take a look at his map vision, okay, he hasn't got the greatest map vision sort of for the flanks here, which could be worrying if like a huge drop comes in. But he basically hasn't been bothered by MarineLorD for quite a while, and he does know that he killed off all those initial Marines, the 2 Widow Mines and the medevac. There is the scan coming out from MarineLorD. He's like, do you have a 4th? Oh, yes, you have a 4th. Is this going to spur our Terran player into some sort of action? Well, I mean, he kind of could. It's like 140 supply each, and the army supplies are roughly comparable, but he'd need to get into a really good position with the Liberators and just be able to say, unless you take on my army head-on and run through my Liberators, I can take out the 4th base. So that's kind of why he wants to be holding this sort of position here, and that's also the reason why there's a Stalker on the lookout for Lilbow over here, because he needs to make sure that the units from MarineLorD effectively can't get through. Those Colossi look so cool! Obviously, this is what patches are all about, right? So, Templar Archives coming down now for Lilbow back at home. Still continuing to tech up. You take a look at the upgrades situation. We have +2/+2 nearly complete for Lilbow now, and +1 armor going to be completing around the same time for MarineLorD. So Lilbow will be a full 2 upgrades ahead. And he's ahead in tech as well. So it just feels like that early advantage, he's been able to keep a hold of it by non-stop teching up and making sure his opponent doesn't get given an opportunity to catch up. And I reckon once we sort of get into a little bit later on as well, we'll start to see potentially ghosts coming into MarineLorD's composition as well. It's a lot of Liberators popping out from him. He's being very deadly serious about stopping anything in its tracks that wants to attack. But the fact is, neither player is interested in hitting the other right now. So this is going to be slightly awkward, and by slightly awkward I mean slightly almost dead. So that Stalker's going to be able to get away at least. And let's see what we've got over here. Lilbow finally deciding to move out. He's decided that his play in this game is going to be to stop MarineLorD from taking a 4th base. And he's going to be able to play this pretty chilled out until... Oh, God. Hey, bleed blue. That's an evil genius's Stalker. Ding. Alright, here we go from Lilbow. Liberators setting themselves up to try and stop this army from getting any more purchase. Hallucinated Phoenix being very annoying, of course, to the Liberators there, but MarineLorD not falling for it and being nice and chilled out. And the armies, ooh, kind of chilling out in the middle of the map, waiting for an opportunity now. I don't really know precisely what they're waiting for right now. They could just be getting... I mean, they could just be waiting for longer range units. From Lilbow's point of view, it just makes sense because he's got Tempests on the way. From MarineLorD's point of view, I'm a little bit surprised when we're not even attempting like a single drop or stuff like that. Because in situations where you just let the Protoss absolutely run rampant, there is a danger that the death ball that eventually comes your way absolutely wipes you off the face of the map. And you want to be able to sneak in economic advantages by killing those workers here and there, by checking out exactly what kind of tech your opponent's going for. Another scan, this time in the middle of the map, tells MarineLorD that Lilbow is no longer about to crush his face in the middle. So he's being a little bit braver with that scan, moving a couple of units out to verify that. But again, still just kind of hanging around, being defensive at the 4th base, expecting Lilbow to be the aggressor here. And my worry is, Lilbow will be the aggressor, because if we give Lilbow any more time to grab a couple of Tempests out, that's going to be really awkward, because he can pick off the Liberators, the Medevacs, and the Siege Tanks from afar. And that's going to mean, if MarineLorD stays in this position, he has to engage, because not engaging means leaving this planetary fortress to fend for itself. He is at least expanding and taking this 5th command center, though. And the real test is going to be what happens when Lilbow gets a couple more Tempests in. So MarineLorD is scanned, and he sees exactly what's coming in now. He's getting additional Liberators. He's got Ghosts incoming now as well. And he's still not quite catching up on the upgrades front. He's at 2-1 versus 2-2 upgrades right now. And 3-3 is actually about to complete for Lilbow. So there's, in fact, there is 3-3 right now. Lilbow is a full 3 upgrades ahead of MarineLorD. But of course, it's very difficult to attack into Siege Tanks and Liberators in this position. So we'll see what they end up doing. Here come the Tempests. Need to be careful they don't move into the liberation zones or anything like that. The Vikings trying to get a couple of pot shots off. This suicidal factory driver is going to be the MVP of the Terran army right now. A couple of SCVs just tucked away in the corner, waiting to mine from that 5th base. And we've got a 5th base as well, by the way, for Lilbow over here in the top left. Just hanging around on the 2 Tempests for now. Just want to constantly be aware of where the Terran is. And be able to apply pressure. These Tempests aren't, they're not supposed to be ending the game or anything like that. It's not like if you keep these Tempests on checks, they will overrun everything you've got. What he's saying is, I'll pick off a couple of units here and there, and either you let me do that for free, or you get aggressive. And MarineLorD at the moment looks like he is opting to get aggressive right now. Has Lilbow spotted this army coming in? Well, if he didn't see it before, he certainly sees it now. Here come the liberation zones between the 4th and 5th bases. Ooh, a lot of those pros being transferred. In fact, every single one goes down initially. That's not good at all. Lilbow is going to be coming around the back to see if he can take out the army from afar. But another Liberator setting up his freedom zone over here, and it looks like we're gonna have to be forced into an engagement. The Tempests are doing a good job so far, off onto the right hand side, picking off a Liberator, but the Vikings manage to come in straight afterwards. The Colossi shredding the bio, but look at the number of Vikings still alive, and the problem right now is whether or not you can keep hold of those heavy hitters in the back. Every Colossus goes down, but look at the ground units from Lilbow. The Colossi managed to do enough damage so that the ground units are able to stave off impending doom at this 4th base location. And as a result, the armies trade. We're at 139 to 125 supply right now. Lilbow lost an awful lot as well, guys, don't forget. But MarineLorD lost the tanks, lost the Liberators, lost the meta. He had a lot of gas invested in that army that is now completely and utterly gone. So he needs to be very careful. The only units that MarineLorD basically managed to salvage completely were the Vikings. Now, we've got some Ghosts here that might be able to stem the flow just a little bit. And the Mothership Core does go down, so the Vikings are landing to try and defend it. But look at how many Archons are popping up behind this as well. If these Stalkers don't finish this position off, then the Archons certainly are going to try and come and barrel through. Where are the Ghosts now? You see, there are still 3 of them. They don't have very much energy left, though, and they have been cloaked for a while as well. I'm a little bit concerned. Are we going to see a push through to try and pick off the Liberators? There are 3 of them, actually, right now, targeting a lot of those Archons, and maybe MarineLorD's going to be able to hold on here. But he is losing so much right now. Oh, wow. And with these follow-up Zealots as a buffer and a Colossus to boot, this is going to be very, very difficult for him to hold on. Lilbow now up to 125 supply. And this third base really is a huge point of contention. There are 4 orbital commands here, an awful lot of SCVs, and it looks like this position will get overrun by Protoss for now. Now, Lilbow doesn't have that many units here, though. I mean, he's got really heavy hitters, but it's, what, 3 Tempests, an Archon, and a Colossus. So it's technically not the largest number of fighting units in the world. The Zealots are going to have to move on out to avoid those Liberators for now. Where does MarineLorD go from here? I mean, the number of workers he has isn't bad. It's 57 versus 60, and when you have mules, that's kind of okay. But really, he needs to be able to engage with his army. It's a 100 army supply versus 66, and a lot of this 100 army supply are really, really good high-tier units coming out from Lilbow. And MarineLorD at the moment just doesn't seem to have a response to it. Really, really tricky. Look, just 2 Stalkers hanging outside of range of this planetary... Ooh, almost hanging outside of range of this planetary fortress are giving these SCVs absolute hell right now. And Lilbow is effectively soft-containing the 4th base. I'm not sure I agree with the decision not to take out the orbital commands at the 3rd, by the way. I feel like that's given MarineLorD a little bit of breathing space. But Lilbow is still doing incredibly well for himself right now. And he just needs to make sure he has vision. He can pick off these Liberators slowly but surely. And there's a big stim in from MarineLorD. He knows that if this goes on for much longer, he's going to start getting whittled down. Some great storms to start off the engagement. Archon's coming in, and the Colossi doing so much damage in the back. MarineLorD losing an awful lot right now, and Lilbow going up to 170 supply versus 100. I don't think MarineLorD can survive this. God, those storms are beautiful. GG! And Lilbow wins game number 1 of this best of 5 quarterfinal.